The $1 versus $1,000 day challenge, a tale of two lives coming together in a single day. It started off as a concept. Imagine for a moment if we went through a single day living two entirely different lives. One of them has just $1 to live, while the other has $1,000 to spend any way they like. There are two extremes, 2 points of view together, only one city, also a great deal of unexpected things. Money was not the only factor at play in this contest. It was a matter of mentality. Is it possible for me to find happiness in deficiency? Would it be possible for me to have a sense of fulfillment in abundance? What would I discover about myself if I were to experience both extremes of the spectrum? $1 day, I was awakened by the sound of the city shaking and waking up. $1 was in my hand as I reached over and took it in my palm. Yes, that was it. There is just one bill that will cover the whole day. There is no backup card. There are no further coins. It is just $1. What is the objective? Bring it to a stretch. Put your best foot forward. My first obstacle was taking care of breakfast. A tiny breakfast pack consisting of a banana and a granola bar was made available by a food bank in the vicinity. Yes, I accepted with gratitude. Following that, I came upon a convenience shop that had a sale basket, a damaged apple that cost 20 cents. The price of a half loaf of bread is 50 cents. 70 cents were given over to me, and I kept 30 cents for myself. Even though my stomach was not at capacity, I was thankful. The availability of transportation was not an option. I went for a stroll. I walked for hours and miles, across streets that I would normally ignore. As I moved on, I became aware of other things, such as murals painted on the walls of alleys, the aroma of freshly baked bread emanating from a bakery, and the sound of youngsters pursuing a soccer ball. I was paying attention in ways that I hadn't done in years, and the city became into a canvas for me to work on. I felt as if I was being reintroduced to the exact location where I had lived for such a long time, but had never seen it in its entirety. A place of refuge for me was the public library in the city. There is free Wi-Fi, a place that is peaceful. There are books, videos, and ideas. My ideas were written down in a diary. I watched films that inspired me, and I soaked in the tranquility. This time of calm seemed like richness in a world that goes at a breakneck pace. I devoted some of my time to reading about people who had overcome adversity and transformed it into a source of meaning in their lives. Their experiences instilled in me a sense of resiliency. I even scribbled down a few of my own thoughts, dreams that I had put on hold, and visions that I had previously had. Over the course of the day, I came into a park where a street artist was playing the violin. People got together, applauded, and cheered. The music permeated the atmosphere. Although it was free, it was also emotionally priceless. As I sat on the grass with other people, we were all brought together by the uncomplicated nature of music and the warmth of the day. It opened my eyes to the fact that beauty is not dependent on a monetary value. Dinner served as a challenge to one's bravery. A kind food seller was contacted by me, and I gave them something other than monetary compensation. A shout-out on my somewhat little social media website. With a grin on his face, he presented me with a dish of rice and eggs and said, "Pass it forward." After being overcome, I nodded. The realization that kindness is a global language came to me. Nothing has ever meant more than a dish of food. After some time had passed, I went back to the library to use the toilet and get my phone charged. I saw that other people who were obviously without a place to shelter themselves were locating safe zones within this communal setting. The strangers, who were joined not by their history, but by their common battle, nodded in agreement with one another. That evening, as I sat on a bench under the lights of the city, I had a sense of wealth that I had not anticipated. It wasn't simply about staying alive during the $1 day. Creativity was the focus of this, with regard to the link, about finding value in the simplest of things. Although I was exhausted at the end of the day, I felt emotionally, cognitively, and spiritually fulfilled. I was surprised to find that I felt more in sync with life than I had in the last several months. The day that 1,000, there was a striking difference the next morning. As I awoke, I was in a luxurious room that had breathtaking views of the cityscape. The room service arrived with a breakfast that cost $40 and included croissants, fruit, cappuccino, and the sensation of having nothing to do. A cocoon of luxury was formed by the presence of plush robes, gentle jazz music, and the low hum of the air conditioning. They were not in a hurry. Have no fear. A single touch was all it took to arrange a driver. And then I was off to a rooftop spa. A green smoothie from a boutique health cafe was waiting for me after I had finished my massage, which cost me $200. The flavor was reminiscent of mint and privilege, and it cost $9. Each and every one of the day's steps was a cushion of relaxation. Afterward, spontaneity emerged. Why don't you have lunch beside the water? I made a reservation for a flight to a seaside city that is located close. $300 for a round journey. I arrived at lunchtime, gorged myself on sushi by the water, and raised a glass of cool wine to my lips while basking in the sun. All of the moments were carefully selected, faultless, and strangely silent. In spite of the glitz and glamour, there was a discernible void that remained under the surface. When I got back to the city, I went to a specialty store and purchased a leather bag that cost me $150. Splurge was a pleasant experience. I was able to readily justify it, since, after all, this was a component of the experiment. I indulged in the fleeting pleasure of having it all by trying on timepieces that I did not need, chatting with stylists, and enjoying the experience. It was a rooftop restaurant where we had dinner. Jazz is a musical genre. The illumination of the city. 6 courses of food accompanied by wine. The total amount due is $220. Every single thing was just flawless, suitable for Instagram. On the other hand, as I sat there by myself, drinking the rest of my wine, I came to the realization that nothing had really touched me. The convenience of everything was too convenient. Furthermore, I had not had a single interaction that was not an exchange of information. At the spa, everyone were courteous, but not particularly close. It was a part of the transaction at the boutique that the smiles were included. Even the flight attendants were kind, although they did so only within the parameters of their standard operating procedures. Even though there was beauty all around me, I couldn't figure out what it meant. What is the connection? How does one feel when they are fully alive? However, as I sat by myself and looked out over the skyline, an odd sensation began to take hold of me. I was not dissatisfied. Rather, I felt disengaged. Everything was really stunning. But in contrast to the previous day, I was not startled by anything. Having nothing humbled me. This delight was not something I had earned. Rather, I had purchased it. On top of that, it was the deciding factor. This is the reflection. There are 2 days. There are 2 stories of life. The $1 day encouraged me to be creative, vulnerable, and thankful all at the same time. $1,000 a day provided me with luxury, quickness, and access. Nevertheless, it numbed my senses. On the first day, I experienced everything, but on the second day, I felt virtually nothing at all. This difference was the true money that the challenge was based on. I came to realize that having a presence does not come with a monetary cost. Such personal connection, when it is not compensated for, is far more satisfying. The pleasure that comes from that battle may be found even in the smallest form. And when that luxury is taken for granted, it has the potential to turn into a kind of numbness. When you have fewer alternatives available to you, gratitude acts in a different way. All acts of compassion seem like a miracle on the day that $1 was being spent. Each and every indulgence seemed like a check mark on the day when we spent 1,000. The reality is that in our society, which is concerned with convenience, it is easy to ignore the fact that pleasure often results from doing more with less resources. To tell you the truth, getting $1,000 is not necessary for us to feel alive. We need a function. We are out of people. Moments that cause us to halt and feel are desperately needed. That was a gift from the $1 day. Surprisingly, the day that made me miss it was the $1,000 day. So which day was the better one? Not at all. Both of them. Mainly due to the fact that the richest life does not rely on your account balance. Your heart, your consciousness, and your intentions all play a role in this equation. Money has the power to open doors. Your soul, however, is opened by presence. There is a saying that goes, "The value of a day is not in what you spend, but in how you live it." This is true regardless of whether you are living on $1 or $1,000. Think things through. Remember to be thankful. Be present in every moment. Attention, if you had just $1, what would you do with it? Also, how would you spend $1,000 in a single day? In the comments section, please share your ideas. What would you pay for comfort? Seek out excitement? Are you going to give it away? It would be helpful if you could tell us where we should travel next if you want us to complete this challenge in your city. Simply because, when everything is said and done, it is not about being wealthy or poor. Regardless of the amount of money you have in your pocket, it is about living well.